Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Nightcap.
Hello, hello.
Levi Stevenson, joined by Dylan Sainer. Matthias is going to join us at some point, but he is currently experiencing some technical difficulties. So hopefully he can jump in, and we'll see. If he can't, I guess it is what it is. And it'll be Dylan and I holding the fort down again this week. But how's it going, Dylan?
It's going well. It's going well. I'm excited for the Big 12 play finally.
Oh my gosh, yeah! Finally getting to conference play. Well, it's funny because almost everybody else has played a conference game already.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think we're like the last ones that haven't. So it's interesting because we've gotten to see some of the other teams in the Big 12 and get kind of a little bit of an early read on them. Whereas Iowa State, we're just going off non-conference, which Iowa State routinely plays the weirdest non-conference of anybody in the Big 12 because you always play an FCS school. You play a G5 school, and then you play Iowa, who plays absolutely nothing like any other school in any other school in college football, really. So it's always a weird non-conference and tough to figure out what's going on with Iowa State. But they're 3-0, headed into Big 12 play. Headed down to Houston this week after blowing out Arkansas State last week. Now, no, Dylan, last week you were like, it might be a trap game. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You said it last week, like the Michigan game was close on the scoreboard, but they really got blown. Like they got blown out. It felt like the Iowa State thing to do was being like a one-score game with those guys. Like it's just with the big Iowa win bye week. But I'm glad it went how it did. I mean, we had people over at my house and. There was too many games on, so like they turned it off at halftime. I didn't even get to watch much of the second half because everybody was like, "I'm not watching this."
Bummer. Well, actually, it's kind of funny because outside of last season, outside of the Ohio game, generally speaking, for whatever reason, we tend to like absolutely obliterate the G5 opponent. Whoever is the third game on the schedule, the G5 opponent. We tend to annihilate them. Like it was Ohio at home a couple years ago in 2020, beat them 48-10. Then we went to Vegas. It was 48-3. 2019 was that UL Monroe game, 72-20.
That was crazy.
That was a nuts game. Brock was tantalizingly close to beating the single game total offense and passing record that game.
I feel like we had 2 pick sixes in the first half. I feel like I know we had at least one, but
let's find out. I'm going to the box score right here. Let's see.
Like it got out of hand so fast that I'm pretty sure the defense.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Pretty sure Jake Hummel had one.
Let's see here. Scoring summary. I see no pick sixes.
Oh, maybe it was in the second half.
I see no pick sixes in either half.
The entire game.
No,
you're full of shit.
I'm looking at the box score, dude.
Let me see.
I don't know what to tell you, but we I mean, let's see, passing. We picked off one pass, and it was not a pick six. Oh wait, no, sorry, no, we picked up 2 passes. Let's see here. Iowa State defensive. Here we go.
Look, Iowa State. Here we go.
What am I looking at? What I mean,
TD 7 minutes and 9 seconds. Jake Hummel 48-yard interception return. Connor Sally kick. I knew it.
What the hell am I looking at? When was this?
This was.
Oh yeah, there it goes. Oh, fourth quarter. Yeah, fourth quarter. There's the Jake Hummel one. Yeah, but that was the only one.
It was a blur.
Yeah,
the game was a blur.
The whole game was a blur. Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, like Sean Shaw had a couple touchdowns, and if I remember correctly, you had a couple big catches, didn't you?
It was okay. Yeah, so it was Brock Purdy 7-yard TD run, Brock Purdy 7-yard TD run.
Yeah,
those were the first 2, and then it was a 73-yard bomb to Tariq Milton.
I remember that one. Yeah, yep. And I think Deshaunte Jones had a big catch. Yeah, there's 84-yard touchdown. Yeah. Deshaunte Jones. Yeah, that was a big game.
We didn't run very many plays.
So. Long story short, outside of losing at Ohio last year, generally speaking, we absolutely kicked the shit out of whoever the third team on the schedule is, generally speaking. But obviously the tough one is obviously Iowa, which even when you beat Iowa, you're like, okay, well, what the hell does that even mean?
Yeah, you're not really sure the quality of,
That said, I think you can look at the non-conference about the Iowa State's resume so far, because much as I hate to admit it, Iowa looks like they might be okay. Like the defense still seems pretty good. They're vulnerable in deep coverage, but they seem pretty good still. And so far, Caleb Johnson is probably the front runner for the Doak Walker at this point. Their passing game is still horrific, but they're more competent offensively than they were last year, and the defense still appears to be pretty much largely in the same place as it was. So it seems like Iowa's probably still a solid win, especially from an offensive standpoint, being able to move the ball against them in the second half.
Yeah.
So now you look at where they're at, going into next week. I guess before we kind of get, before into that, is there anything you during the Arkansas State game that you saw that were like, okay, this is interesting. This is a nice data point going forward?
I mean, I didn't see anything crazy. It was awesome. Like we talked about, if you want to be a team that's like in the playoff talk every year, you have to go in and blow those teams out. Like when you have those games, you have to do that. But to what you were saying about the the conferences looked pretty underwhelming so far, I think.
Oh yeah.
Obviously our non-con win against Iowa was good, but other than that, you have Oklahoma State. I guess they lost a close game to Utah, but the Arkansas win is going to be, I think, look good for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see what happens, but it's just ramps up for us now.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what we're going into now. Houston, is that what you're getting into?
Yeah. A couple things I wanted to pull from the Arkansas State games. One, I think we saw some stuff from the offensive line. I think you saw some more progression from the offensive line as far as getting a little bit of push. Now, granted, against it's Arkansas State, so you would like to make, the minimum should be getting good push from the offensive line. But I think we did see that for the most part. What was also notable is we saw Jalen Travis, the left tackle, Princeton transfer, get some snaps, and he looked pretty good. I think he actually even registered a pancake block on a pass block somehow, which is that's not an easy thing to do. So I think getting him snaps was huge. I don't know what the snap breakdown between him and James Neal looks like in down in Houston. I don't know if they're like, okay, well, now Jalen's up to speed, we're going to use him, or if they're still going to kind of rotate the two. I'm not sure what that looks like. I mean, I would guess at minimum they're going to be a 50-50 split, if not a little bit James Neal, just because they got to get Jalen Travis into the rotation and get him fully up to speed. But I thought that was an interesting thing. Plus, I was also very pleased with how how the running game operated for the most of the day. I mean, Abusama got his carries, but then Carson Hansen had a nice day. Had 9 carries, put a couple of them in the end zone.
First drive of the game.
Yeah. Broke off some really nice runs. Jalen Jackson looks really good as a runner. That's a guy he's kind of like David, where he could he could turn a busted play into 4 or 5 yards pretty quick. Which is a huge asset to have. And then obviously as the offensive line gets better and he doesn't have to dodge a few, a defensive end right out of the backfield, getting him in space feels like a winning formula for sure. So the running game, especially one thing I did see was interesting at the running game though, is them going into that Maryland dive formation 3 times on the goal line and punching it in easy 3 times. That was sick.
Yeah, that'll get you going.
That's a Tyler Roll special out of North Dakota State. That was their bread and butter at the goal line.
It's the way God intended the game to be played.
Just pounding that shit in. And it was, because I don't think that's the first time we've ever seen them line up like that, but it certainly was a rare thing. But I don't think anybody saw them, lining up 3 times in the Maryland eye right on the goal line and just power and just run an A-gap power out of the Maryland eye.
Yeah, I mean, there were good things obviously, but it's like you don't want to hang your hat on it. You don't want to get too caught up in like, man, we blew somebody out and looked good. I think,
right.
Like, don't get too high with the win, because it's like it is Arkansas State at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean that's a team that we should blow out. So.
Yeah, and honestly, I think Houston's a team that we should blow out. So like. So I just hope we don't get cocky. I hope
I don't get that impression from this group. Like, this doesn't seem like the kind of group like that would be a thing, but and anybody can be vulnerable to that, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, more so like if you run through these next stretch of games and play well, and then you're sitting like 6, 7, 8-0,
right?
And then you see that number next to your name, say like 6, 5, and then it's like,
okay,
yeah.
Well, Houston's an interesting team because obviously they played Oklahoma close in Norman.
They did.
They've played a couple really good teams close, but then they go to Cincinnati and get there and get blown out 35-0.
Yeah.
So,
and UNLV, like, I know they're better than they've been, I guess, but they kind of got blown out by them too. So
yeah. So it's an interesting one. It's hard to evaluate because they've lost bad to some bad teams, but they played Oklahoma close on the road. But as Cyclone Games here in the comments says, I'm actually probably in agreement with you here. Is I think that score was more about Oklahoma being kind of bad versus Houston being good. I think that was more of and just kind of the right circumstances there. I'm gonna make our feeds bigger. There we go. Look at that. We're fat. Look at that. Yeah. But anyway, so I don't like that. I'm going back.
I was like, whoa.
I'm going back. I didn't like it. But
yeah, I think Oklahoma's frauds for now.
I think so too. But I mean, Houston has some playmakers. The quarterback Donovan Smith in the 2021 game, I think, which I believe that, or no, was that the Jonathan Garibay game? Yeah, I think that's what it was. And so like that game, he was good, but since then he really hasn't done much. But he's physically a capable quarterback, and Willie Fritz is a good coach. So it's definitely not one that you can go in and be like, oh, we're just going to walk away with this thing and be done. But like you said, like it seems to me that Houston is definitely one of the 2 worst teams in the conference.
Yeah.
I think I would say it's a 14-point favorite right now, which they haven't been a double-digit favorite on the road in conference play in a long time. So I think this is one, like, I'm trap game, maybe, I guess. I don't know if this is a trap game so much, because I think trap games usually are, you're looking ahead to the next game after that. The next game after that is Baylor at home, which, it's the whiteout game and all that. But like as far as like opponent goes, you're not like, oh my gosh, you don't have, right, at least right now anyways, you don't have Baylor like circled on the calendar because they're pretty shitty too.
Right.
And Dave Aranda, honestly, Dave Aranda might get fired after the game in Ames if Iowa State wins how we think they should win. So I don't know if I'd qualify it as a trap game so much as just a game where you just need to go down. You have to just take care of business, and you can't sleepwalk through this one, because while they're probably the worst team in the Big 12, they still got a good coach. They still got some good skill players and things like that. They're good enough where they can give you a scare when you don't want to, when you really can't afford to drop this one.
Yeah, I mean, as we go, I think every week is going to feel like that. It's going to feel like a trap almost every week, just because it's like, oh man, here comes the Iowa State crew again. Like, they're supposed to be in this little box where they're in the bottom 2 of the conference, but they're not in the box. So like, everyone's going to circle the game now. Let's try to put them back in the box. So, I mean, the more you win, every game's going to be, you're going to get everybody's best shot. So
yeah. And hopefully that, ideally that kind of, toughens the team up a little bit or whatever, where if you're getting everybody's best shot every week, it forces you to be on your toes every week, and it forces you to be vigilant. And, hopefully it's because even though the team has a lot of snaps, it's still a pretty young football team. So, forcing them to always be up and play as though they're playing a top 25 team basically every week, because you're getting everybody's best shot, should be good for them as the conference gets more difficult. And then, you'll have a little bit of a peak there with UCF, who appears to be a pretty good team, coming names, fortunately. But then as you get towards the end of the season, you got Utah and Kansas State, which if Iowa State's taking care of business up to that point, you're talking about, that Utah game, the Kansas State and Utah games being really, really important. Potentially, pushing you into the Big 12 title game or more, which, it's kind of funny because there's the whole idea of like, don't look ahead. It's one game at a time, one game at a time, one game at a time, which for a player, that's definitely true. You can't be, if you're a player right now, you can't be looking ahead and saying, okay, well, we've got UCF in 3 weeks and whatever. Right. And we, you still got to focus on Houston, but as you're now realizing on the fan side of things, it's fun to look ahead a little bit and say, okay, well, if we do this, and this, we can get to this type of thing.
Yeah. And honestly, like, we don't play BYU, which might be a blessing. Yep. I mean, I'm not saying that they haven't beat Georgia, but they blew the shit out of Kansas State. And I had to throw that in because fuck Kansas State.
Fuck Kansas State, dude. I'm all the way.
You heard it here first.
All the way with you on that. Got an interesting comment here from Ben Tashner. Should we be concerned for JJ Cole at this point being number 3? Thanks for the commentary. This is an interesting comment for a couple reasons. One, because of a point that about Arkansas State that I did not bring up. But for the last quarter and a half, Connor Moberly came in as the backup and was pretty good. He was effective as a running quarterback, running out of the read option. Made a couple really nice throws. That one to Ben Inagoya that just got dropped wherever it was, a nice jump ball to a tall receiver and just couldn't quite bring it down. I wouldn't even call it a drop. It's just a tough play. Yeah. But I think I was really impressed with Connor Moberly, and it's very clear why the staff is high on him early, even just as a true freshman. It's very clear why they like him a lot. That said, so with JJ Cole being at number 3, it depends on what you define as concerned. If your concern is, you believe JJ Cole is the second best quarterback on this team, but he's sitting at number 3 in the depth chart. I guess my reply to you there is Rocco's the starter, and right now that's all that matters. Now, if someone gets hurt, we can have a different conversation, and I don't know if JJ or Connor Moberly would play, given how many snaps they've gotten. I would assume Connor Moberly would come in. But I don't know if concerned is what I would use, because in the end, if he's not the second best quarterback on the team, he's not the second best quarterback on the team. That's all there is to it. And obviously, you'd like a guy that's like got his size and was such a highly rated recruit coming out of high school. You'd like him to be, in the backup spot. And last season, a lot of people thought he would, push for a starting spot, which he may or may not ever be have ever actually been close to being a starter. But I mean, all there is to it really is right now he's on 3rd on the depth chart, and whether that's just Connor Moberly being really good or is JJ Cole not being good enough, it doesn't really matter, because right now that's just where he's at.
I think he maybe the concerning part is, the guy's a good quarterback that we think, there's highly recruited, all that. But he's sitting between Rocco and Connor Moberly in terms of year, how old he is. Right. So if right now they truly believe that Connor Moberly is better, then there's not a whole lot of room other than to put your head down and have an incredible spring and fall
right.
But
I mean, if JJ Cole wants to be the backup or the starter, it's on him. I mean, he's the one that's gotta play good enough to force the staff to make a decision.
But in the climate of college football, if that's the case, the depth chart sits like that, then the way it is nowadays, you probably see a transfer. Right?
If things stay exactly as they are right now, and
because it's not like we have a senior, we don't have a senior.
You have redshirt sophomore at quarterback right
freshman,
now, which technically, yes, Rocco could go to the draft. I would be blown away if that were the case. No. It's not going to happen. So assuming Rocco is back next year and assuming Connor Moberly is back, if JJ Cole wants to stick around and try to fight for a spot, good on him. I would really admire that quality. However, like you said, in the current climate of college football with NIL and all this, and just in the free transfer, I certainly wouldn't be surprised if he just decides to go find playing time somewhere else. I don't think I would necessarily blame him, because you only get so many years in college football. So at a certain point you kind of got to go find some snaps someplace. And it seems like he's raw, got the raw talent anyways to certainly transfer to maybe a G5 or to a UNI or a North Dakota State or something like that and be a really nice quarterback. I don't know if he will. I don't know how JJ perceives his, is he on the depth chart because of his own shortcomings, and he understands that and wants to fix it? I don't know. It's all JJ's thing. But like you said, I would guess if I were a betting man, I would guess JJ will probably transfer at the end of the season, especially knowing that the guy coming in as a true freshman next year is an elite 11 quarterback, and he's also he's not like a mid 4-star guy like JJ was coming out of high school, but he's still a well-regarded recruit coming in that will have a couple years to develop. So he's not only sandwiched between, he's not only fighting between Rocco and Connor Moberly, but he's also going to be fighting with, I can't remember his name off the top of my head now, but he's going to be competing with another good quarterback coming in the next recruiting class. So it's a tough spot. I can't say I would blame him for transferring.
It looks like we have a good option at quarterback for the next
Alex Mansky is the freshman quarterback. He's coming in from Algona, which is a good football program. So
he's Michigan or Auburn, so the issue with that is it's hard to go to a big time program when you have zero film and you have you're just basing everything off of
right now you're basing it off of him being 6'7" with a good arm.
and you're like high school recruiting, and then you just hope that the guy's been developing wherever he's been at. But you don't really typically see guys that are backups go to big schools. Usually a starter.
But a school like an Auburn or a Michigan or something like that, they're desperate to find a quarterback right now. They may not pay JJ $2 million to go play there, but if you could get what appears to be a talented freshman, I'm not sure, honestly. I'm not sure what the future looks like for JJ. If he wants to stick it out and try to win a spot here, like I said, I would admire that from him, but I certainly would not blame him in the year of, in this current era of free transfers and NIL and stuff like that. So I don't think I would be shocked if he transferred at this point.
UNLV is looking for a quarterback.
UNLV is looking for a QB.
I don't know the rules on that. A mid-season, I know you don't got to really sit out a year anymore. That's not
because there's the 4-game red shirt now too. So
yeah.
As long as because he's only played 4 games, so he can just say, I'm going to take my red shirt and bail, and doesn't lose a year of eligibility. And I think and USC just had a defensive tackle do that today earlier, Bear Williams.
Well, and that's you can do that. You have to play. And you're talking about the UNLV guy, aren't you?
But I mean, UNLV, the USC guy. I mean, all of them have played 4 games exactly. So then they're saying, well, I'm just going to shut it down, take a red shirt, and then transfer.
Yeah,
and keep it. I mean, how do you feel about that, since you did not play in this era?
I mean, so from what I've read about it, it seems really shitty. It for what the players are doing seems really shitty. If I was a teammate of that player, I would be like, "See you, buddy. We don't want you here anyways."
Yeah.
But I mean, I get it's different now. It's not about as much about the team and playing for each other and relationships. It's it's all about money. We're in minor league football now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's understandable, but from what I've seen about it is he was promised a deal verbally.
Yep.
And maybe he just learned his first business lesson because,
sign a contract.
With as crazy as everything is out there, you can't just
putting $100,000 on a handshake is crazy.
Yeah. Oh, Barry Odom said he's going to pay me. No. Well, it wasn't even Odom that said it was an assistant. That could be Hoosier telling somebody we're going to give him $100,000.
Yeah. And then Brett Bloom's got to write the check and be like, Mom got that. But
yeah, so at least we don't have any coaches on our staff that are promising millions of dollars to guys and not giving it to them. So that's
yeah. And it was it's an interesting situation because fortunately for Iowa State, I mean, obviously Iowa State's not necessarily throwing around the big bucks. We're not paying $3 million for a transfer quarterback. That's just not going to happen or whatever. But it seems from everything that I've seen, it seems like guys are getting taken care of to the point where they're happy and they're getting what they need to stick around here. And I also think that Matt Campbell I think the staff just purposely recruits guys that don't care as much about that. I think they're probably prioritizing guys that are like, yeah, I mean, if you can get me something great, but I'm not in it for the money type of thing. Not right now.
Yeah. And I mean, that's always been the kind of guys they go after. Like,
yeah,
if you look at the roster, we're not just flooded with 4 and 5 stars. Those are the guys that are after the NIL money.
Yeah. They're fishing. Yeah.
We find just these guys that care about football, love the game, and they develop them into good football players. Like,
yeah,
it seems like we always have a walk-on on our team that becomes an All-American, like always. And then we always find like David Montgomery had one offer. Like, we just have these like,
just find them somewhere. Yeah. I mean, Cooper Ebel didn't have much coming out of high school. Obviously Caleb Bacon was a walk-on. They find these guys. I think Carson Hansen didn't have much of an offer list. I think he had a couple of FCS programs, I think, but not much of an offer list. And they've just done a really nice job of just recruiting guys that fit what they want and fit what's going to make the Iowa State's program great. Yeah. Hakeem Butler didn't have much coming out of high school. Now, funny enough, Hakeem Butler was actually a Paul Rhodes recruit.
Yeah. He was already here.
He was already in Ames when Matt Campbell got there. So, but Paul Rhodes still recruited the same kind of guys that Matt Campbell recruited. Now, Matt Campbell gets a more talented version of that player.
Paul Rhodes is really bad at recruiting. I heard he's a great guy. Everybody loves him.
Everybody loves Paul Rhodes, but he had the same problem that Kirk Ferentz does, where he just refuses to adapt to the new times.
He's not like so. Everybody's like, all the players that were here, they were like, he's not on social media. He doesn't do any like,
just doesn't care about any of that.
Yeah.
Which I get. Like, I respect the old school approach, but it's just not going to work now. That's just not how it is.
Like, I was recruited by Iowa before Iowa State because I wasn't recruited by Iowa State until Campbell got the job. But prior to Campbell getting the job, I was being recruited by Iowa, and I told my mom, I don't know where Iowa is. Throw that shit away. And then,
what's funny is I always enjoy going back and looking at that picture of Breece Hall on his visit to Iowa, where he's wearing the full Iowa getup, but it's always really funny to me. It's like, huh,
yeah,
glad that never happened. But yeah, so let's look at God, it's just fucking talking like a teenager. Let's look at this Houston game a little bit. Obviously, we talked, they've got, I don't know if there's like a ton to necessarily go through. They're just not a great team, but they're
an interesting team.
Yeah, they're an interesting
team. It's like a get blown out, play close to Oklahoma, get blown out, beat the shit out of Rice, get blown out. Like,
what the hell is this?
I don't know.
They've got a couple nice playmakers on the outside. They've got a good receiver. In the end, I think Iowa State has clearly got a fairly significant talent gap on this one, and definitely just an overall cohesiveness advantage as far as just everybody being aligned with the same system and all that, which makes sense. Matt Campbell's in year 9 and Willie Fritz is in game 5. But and worth noting too is that Houston's away stadium is not a home field advantage for them whatsoever. Honestly, there's probably a decent chance that there's just as many Iowa State fans there this weekend as there are Houston fans, because there's DFW and Houston both have some decent sized alumni bases. So I think there's a decent number of people actually going down for this game. So it's not going to be a home field advantage for Houston. So like when you're going to play at a stadium like Kansas, prior to them being good or whatever, when there's just nobody there, is that a weird thing, playing in an empty stadium?
Every time we played at Kansas, felt like it was like spring game.
Yeah.
Like,
is it weird enough where it kind of throws you off a little bit?
I mean, maybe a little bit, but it's like,
because there's just not as much energy.
Yeah, there's not as much, but then you make a couple big plays, and then the players start to feed off of each other, and it almost becomes like more dangerous for the team, opposing team, because
Sure.
You make a couple of plays, you feed off each other, and it's like doesn't matter what's going on around you. Like we're just gonna beat the shit out of these guys. Right. So I mean, I didn't mind it too much. Well, we always had more fans at Kansas than Kansas did.
Yeah, yeah, and so I think this is probably going to be one where it's similar to those old Kansas team, like the old games in Lawrence, where there's just not a lot of energy, and Iowa State should blow them out. It's it's an interesting situation opening up on the road to a team that's inconsistent and kind of hard to read, and you're trying to validate what you did in the non-conference, where the offense by all measures has performed as good as we thought it was gonna. The passing game's dynamic, the running game is starting to pick up some speed. The offensive line looks competent. We'll see. But against, I mean, in the second half against Iowa, the offensive line looked pretty solid, and Iowa's got a good defensive line.
Yeah, I mean, we're used to seeing our quarterback on the ground a lot in that game. So
in that game, yeah. Which and Rocco has largely been kept clean this whole season, essentially. Yeah, I think he's only been sacked like twice, maybe. So it's an interesting one. I think this is one where Iowa State can and should go in, take care of business, win by a few touchdowns, and then be able to come back to Jack Trice next week for the Baylor game and hopefully push your way to 5-0 and probably a top 15 ranking. And what's interesting about this too now is that you're building momentum, because like you said, like we said before, the rest of the conference has already played a game for the most part. I think everybody's played at least one game, and like you said, basically everybody has slipped up or almost slipped up at least once.
Yeah, everybody's looked bad at least once.
Now, Utah's the only one that's pretty much taking care of business, but I mean, like they were in a close game at the end. I mean, it wasn't close for most of the game. Oklahoma State got garbage time points, but they only put 22 points up on the board with Cam Rising out of the game against an Oklahoma State defense that's okay, I guess. So even they're not invulnerable.
Okay.
What was that?
I mean, I don't think Arkansas is like any kind of world beaters, and I watched them have 500 yards in the first half against Oklahoma State. So there is a game plan out there to carve those guys up.
Utah is beatable for sure. They're not untouchable by any stretch. And so, I mean, I'm looking at Kansas State, who looked kind of weird against Tulane and then got their ass beat by BYU. It was like embarrassed by BYU. Now, granted, part of that was turnover and stuff like that, because they actually outgained BYU by like 150 yards or something. So they were moving the ball up and down the field a little more. And BYU had a special team score, and they, and Kansas State Avery Johnson just threw in the ball a couple times. So that leads to kind of an inflated score for BYU. But I mean, they went to Provo and scored 3 points, which is bad. And they can't really throw the ball very well. Their secondary is really bad. And then you look at Texas Tech, who's been really disappointing so far. I mean, they got a decent win last week. But they went and kind of got blown out by Washington State. They don't look, the Joey McGuire experiment so far is shaky. Baylor's as bad as we thought they were going to be. TCU is maybe the second worst team in the conference. They're bad. Like the TCU's got nothing going on right now. And it sucks because a couple of TCU reporters, Melissa Treewatch and Jay Plunkett, are good friends of mine. So I hate to kind of dump on TCU too much, because I've always just kind of liked TCU. They're not nearly as hateable as as a lot of the other rest of the people in the conference are. But like you look at TCU, and basically any mojo that program had from 2013 to 2019, when they were really, really, really good, is gone. Like whatever they had from Gary Patterson is completely gone.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, thank God, like, we picked up Utah, because
otherwise, right now Iowa State would be like kind of the runaway favorite in the Big 12 right now.
Yeah, and there would be like the slander would be even worse. To be like, do they even play football in that conference? Or
yeah.
I was expecting Arizona State to be the punching bag, but they beat Mississippi State.
Mississippi State's kind of bad, but
they're in the SEC, Levi.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that makes all the difference. We'll see about Arizona State. It looks like, I mean, they're better than I think people. They're better than people thought they were going to be, but I think we got to see a little bit more before we get too excited about Arizona State. Yeah. Colorado's like they have Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, and like I don't know.
Is Deion gone to the NFL?
Yeah, it's funny because I think the Big 12 probably I think they'll have at least 3 new coaches next year. Maybe so Dave Aranda's definitely gone. I think Neil Brown's going to be gone. I think Deion Sanders will follow Shedeur to the NFL in some way, shape, or form. I don't think he stays at Colorado past this season. And then basically. It would entirely depend on what the money situation looks like, but I don't think they would get rid of him necessarily this season. But it's not impossible that if it gets worse, that Sonny Dykes could be on the chopping block. Which is kind of crazy to see after he played in the national championship game 2 years ago.
Well,
but he did with Gary Patterson's players.
They played is a loose term.
They went to the game.
They were there.
They attended the game.
Yeah. The tight ends. We want to know. Ben wants to know about the tight ends.
Oh, yes.
They're awesome.
Curious and thoughts of the tight end group. Tons of young talent out there. Hoping Mileser can use them more. They used a lot of them on Saturday.
Ben Bramer is awesome. Dog.
Tyler Moore. Dog.
Tyler Moore. He throws his fucking head in there, man. When I was still in college and that guy came to school, he was like a little bitty scrawny kid. Like, and he's fucking developed and
he throws a huge block on that Jalen Noel punt return.
Man, I like Steve-O. I like Gabe Burkle, big
dog,
fucking son of a bitch. Like Gabe Burkle is.
I think we have found the archetype for Iowa State tight ends, and that's big motherfucker.
Yeah, he's got Gabe Burkle. You guys watch him. He's give him some time. He's got a little Dylan Sainer in him. This guy's going to be throwing it in there.
Ben Bramer might be the smallest tight end in the room, and he's like 6'5", 240. And he's basically a receiver at this point.
No, and he has like incredible body control for his size. Like,
that catch he made on that fake screen was unreal.
Oh, that was cool. Like
he actually graded out as the best tight end in the country last week per PFF.
No, they're good, and they are in a great spot because they have a coaching staff who obviously knows what they're doing with a room full of tight ends that are capable.
Well, if you look at that Tyler Moore play too, I mean, they were running 13 personnel there, and basically they ran them all onto a flat out to the one side, and then just gave it to Tyler Moore, who ran behind the other 2 tight ends, like almost kind of a tight end screen, but the 2 blockers are other tight ends.
I will say that, like, as far as like tight ends, they're awesome. We've always used them well, or at least in the Campbell area. Oh, not the first year, but not really the second year. After that. I'm glad. I'm ecstatic to see 13 personnel. I thought I'd never see it again after me, Chase, and Charlie left.
Well, here's your answer, Matt.
Like, I thought they were
a triple tight end set, and they did. They ran 13 personnel on Saturday. Yeah,
and I like. I mean, we ran a lot. I think they broke it down for us at the end of the year. It was like 30%, 13 personnel, 40. it was like 38%, 12 personnel, and like it was like almost even between 11, 12, and 13. And I thought, like,
kind of makes sense though. I mean, it was hard. You couldn't. There's no way you could justify a formation on the field without at least one of you guys.
Well, yeah, and that was Campbell's always been like that. Like, play your best 11, and that is just we were a little short. Like, we were a little short on receiver that year. It worked out, and we used a lot of tight ends. We had incredible running back. Like, but I thought it was just like a perfect storm kind of thing. I was like, maybe that's not really Iowa State or this staff, their like identity, but they've put together another room that is capable of doing very similar things.
I mean, they're 5 deep. I think they actually played because Andrew Keller played a little bit, and they played another one, number 37. I think he's a walk-on. I couldn't tell you what his name was, or I'd never even heard of him. I think they played 7 tight ends on Saturday.
Yeah. Like, obviously it's something that they want to continue to do, which is good to see.
They're routinely playing 5.
Right.
Which is incredible because even when you guys were playing,
we didn't have 5.
Yeah, it didn't play 5. They're clearly very comfortable using everybody in that room, and Taylor Mauser knows how to use them.
Oh, that's what I was going to say about Mouse. Like, that's what I've seen in the game so far this season. Like, that's been awesome to see is these allergies, man. The plays, like they're like the one you're talking about, like they're different. Like I was in this offense for 4.5 years, like, or, you know, not the same offense, different offense coordinator, whatever.
You played for this team.
Yeah. But like it's under Campbell, like it all has to go through him at some point.
Sure.
And there are like numbers, like a lot of very, very creative, well thought out plays that we're running that we never ran. I've never seen before. Like I've never seen us run. And so that is encouraging to me that like, I don't know, Mouse is like learning from somewhere. He's learned, you know.
Well, he said in the press conference today that like Nate Shieldhaas has been sending him some stuff that they use with the Rams, and he gets from what I understand is he is willing to listen to anybody that has a good idea.
Right.
Like if some rando fan DMs him on Twitter and it's a good idea, he'll listen to it and at least look at it. I really respect that. I really respect that because, like, I'm sure there are lots and lots of very arrogant coaches in college football that really believe that they know what's best, and nobody can tell them, and in the NFL that nobody can't tell them nothing because they're where they are and they're there for a reason. But Taylor Mauser has come in, and I could gush all day about Mouse as an offensive coordinator, but aside from just if anybody's got a good idea, I want to hear it type of thing. He's also just kind of like, it's funny when you listen to him in a press conference because he's very quiet. He's very measured in a press conference and whatever else. But like, you can tell he's a little bit crazy. Like, and especially when he calls plays, like he's the kind of offensive coordinator, like where he's like, he knows what he's doing, but he's a little bit fucked up in the head. I want to throw some, like, he's like, I want to do some wacky shit. And I love that. I want to see that out of my offensive coordinator. And I really appreciate about him where super smart guy, but he's just like, sometimes he's just fuck it, let's try it out, see what happens.
Yeah, I mean the game is like evolving so fast to like think that it doesn't matter if you've been in it for 40 years. Like for anybody to think
always learn
that they know everything and have it figured out is just a bad way to go about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Having an open mind like he's approaching it is awesome. And here's a comment: Mauser, the best player caller we've had in recent memory.
I mean,
we're 3 games in. That said, this is the best first 3 games I've ever seen from an Iowa State offense.
It's almost like he's got a little bit of like Dan Campbell balls, but not big enough where you're like, what the fuck are we doing?
But he's got some balls, but he's not arrogant about it. Like, he's like, we saw it against Iowa. He is perfectly happy to sit there and take every single inch the defense is going to give him, and then once in a while be like, you know what, fuck it, let's run a fake screen and just hit Ben Bramer over the top. Why not? Who gives a shit? And it's working out because he's there. You can tell that Iowa State is playing very loose offensively, not in that they're not precise, but they're playing loose and that it did feel like at times during, especially like while Tom Manning was calling plays and while Brock Purdy was there, that at times the offense got a little bit like, I don't want to say bogged down, but like a little bit like where it was so rigid that it's like everything has to be here, or it just doesn't quite work. And it got stiff a little bit, if that makes sense. There was at least they felt like that way, you know, watching it from the stands. It felt like the offense got stiff at times or whatever. Whereas this one, the offense, like they're moving the ball around all over the place. Like it's not, it's 2nd down and 5, so we're gonna do this thing. Yeah. You know, it got to the point, like I know, like especially like 2019, 2020, where even I could sit in the stands and be like, okay, they have these 2 guys here. They're coming over to the other side formation. This is going to be a run left. This is going to be a counter this way. This is going to be a flat route out to you or Charlie or something like that. Like it got to the point where even like just a fan in the stands could reasonably be a reasonably effective predictor of the play call probably 50% of the time. And that's me not knowing diddly shit about what's going, not knowing the play call, not being a college football defensive coordinator or anything, but if the fans can start reading what's going on, it's getting too predictable.
Right.
Yeah,
I think before it was like we always did like crazy formations with like shifts and motions. And it was like we'd line up, like I would line up next to the quarterback and then we would just shift. And like we thought that like, oh, we'll just run the same play from the same formation. We'll just get to that formation differently.
In a different way. Yeah.
But people catch on to that pretty quick. Like,
yeah, I mean, because you could see, like, if you line up in the quarterback, there's no fucking way that Dylan's lining up next to the ready to start this play. Yeah. Like, I mean, okay, that's obviously how this is starting. But then you like go out to your H-back slot off behind the right tackle or something like that. It's like, okay, they're running it that way. That's just what it is. So, but I don't get that with this offense. I don't get that feeling watching this offense where it's like, okay, this is happening. I know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And
I've even struggled like watching the game. I'm like, I don't know
where this is going. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love it. I'm like,
oh yeah, it's great. Well, I don't know. I noticed that I'd have to actually look at it, but it feels like they've cut down on the pre-snap motion a little bit.
Yeah.
It's certainly not like an every play thing.
2020 like most in the country.
Yeah. Oh, that doesn't shock me. It had to have been an 80% of plays.
We had like it was I forget the number. It wasn't a percentage. It was number of plays with pre-snap movement, and it was the highest in the country.
All of them. Yeah, it was some huge like it was basically every one of them.
Yeah.
Which whatever, I guess. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. In 2020, it worked. But now it seems like if there's pre-snap motion, it's a very specific thing to get a guy to pull over, to get a safety to shift down or whatever it is. It's very deliberate. It's not just, oh, we're doing this just to have guys moving around just because.
Yeah. A lot of the time, and we got that way. It felt like we were just moving around just because. Yeah. But like a lot of the time when you see that, that's the reason. If you're trying to help the quarterback really in the offensive line, like
try to expose a coverage or something.
Yeah, it's way easier to identify a coverage when you send a guy across the formation than they have to give it up or they have to leave somebody wide open. Like there's no
right.
I'll get to the Campbell question here. So.
Who's it from here?
Oh,
Ben. Okay.
Yeah. So playing for Campbell, like I get it. Fans, players, everybody like would run through a wall for the guy, like you said. I think the reason is like he's just a genuinely good human being. Like he's a good football coach. But like he cares about his players. And he builds relationships with his players, and like kind of a lost art a little bit today. Mm-hmm. Like the guy still calls me, like I'm already retired, and he still calls me. Sent my mom a Mother's Day card. I know it was probably Skip had to write it, that poor bastard, but like he just I think the main factor is he genuinely just cares about his players, and I think the reason the fans would run through a wall for him is because the fans have endured a lot of dog shit football at Iowa State, and now they're winning football games. So it's like, hey, whatever this guy says, I'm in. But
I mean, I've had the privilege of talking to Campbell like in person a couple, like once or twice, or something like that. But like, even in just like the very, very brief conversations I've had with him or something like that, like even if he has absolute, like even like me, he has literally doesn't know my name. I mean, he might recognize me, I guess, since I've talked to him a couple times, but like he doesn't know my name, and like he doesn't have to. I don't expect him. I'm just a dude. That's all it is, or whatever. When you're talking to him, he makes you feel like you are the most important fucking thing going on in his life right now.
Yeah.
And like he listens to every single word coming out of your mouth. And before you're done with your sentence, he's got a follow-up question to ask you about what you just said.
Yeah.
And you know, for me being just the average dude, that even I was like, damn, this is a good dude. I really happy that he's in charge of our football program, even just from like talking to him for like a minute.
Yeah, no, he's awesome. He's like, if that guy could adopt me, I'd be down. Like he's just an incredible. Like, I mean, like there's a lot of scumbags in football in general.
Oh, yeah.
Like
college sports.
Yeah, there's just a lot, and so it's rare to find. And it's trickled all the way down. Like everybody who works for him is a genuinely good person as well.
Everybody, all of his staffers are like A+ dudes.
Yeah. If they're not, it just doesn't work. Like
I would love to sit down and have a beer with Eli Rashid.
That guy's fucking awesome.
I bet I have no doubt in my mind that he is.
Awesome.
I'd have a beer with basically anybody on staff, but Rashid might be my first pick.
Haycock is awesome.
I have talked to Haycock once, and he's good shit.
I mean, there's not and former players at other programs would probably struggle to say this. Like, there's not one guy in the building that I was there with that I have anything bad to say about. Like,
yeah,
there's not like a bad experience that I ever had with any of them.
Yeah.
And that's like, through all the yelling and cussing and, hard coaching and shit, like that's just a part of it. But like I feel like most players that like, especially programs that suck, they'll come out like, oh man, that guy was a fucking dick. Like that coach was a fucking prick. Like
they've always got one guy that they just fucking hated.
Yeah.
I've got a question here from Ben about Tyson Veit turning around Cincinnati season. They just blanked Houston last week, so
I mean
Tyson Veit's.
I hope so. I like Veit.
Yeah, they've got a long ways to do to build that program up to being a Big 12 program, but Tyson Veit's a good dude. He's a good coach. I think he's a perfectly good candidate to get that defense turned around to be what it can be.
You got to see what we gave that guy shit for in college. You got to see it. I think his first head coaching job. We would bring it up to him all the time. I forget the name of the college.
Some like little D12 school.
Yeah. He's got a Bluffton. Yeah, and he gets this first head coaching job, I think.
Oh yeah, Bluffton College. Look at that.
And he has
university. It's a Mennonite university. That's fun.
And he has an interview, and I'll have to find it for you sometime. It is the funniest shit I've ever seen.
Is it like a staff picture or something?
No, it's an interview, a video, and I don't know if it's funny because like I know him, or like if it would be funny to everybody.
Just funny to everybody, yeah.
But he's like going on. He's like you see the campus, it looks like what you would envision a college campus to look like. And I'm just like,
Bluffton University football coach 16 years ago, Tyson Veit. Let's see if this is it.
Let me see. You'll know.
I'm gonna see if I can. I'm gonna see. Hopefully, I think the people should be able to see this, but I'm not 100% sure. Let me. There we go. All right. Well, hopefully the people can see this.
Oh, this is it.
And felt good about the opportunity. Is one, the solid history of the university. And the solid football tradition.
Tradition.
When you envision a campus, a college campus, it looks like a college campus. I'm going to go away to college. This is what a college campus should look like.
What a college campus should look like.
The vision that we'll have here as a football staff is to develop the current roster of men that we have right now that will come back to campus between Sunday and Monday. We need to develop those men. We need to add to that current roster through recruiting and obviously retention. So those are
he's just reading the job description.
Goals and demands on our staff currently. We need to compete in our conference first after we get those two things done and continue with those two things.
Then we're going to
compete at the national level after that. So that's the immediate vision, and we'll continue through with those things as we go. A philosophy that will go by this year and forever. We need to be fundamentally sound in all three phases of football, which are offense, defense. We need to
in case you guys at Bluffton
didn't know how football worked.
Within all that, emphasizing NCAA philosophies and NCAA Division III philosophies will be combined with that perpetually. And three things that are, whether it's academically or athletically, we need to be the hardest working, most disciplined, and then best conditioned as student athletes here. So we'll work on those three things as well. Again, to emphasize again, recruiting is the most important thing we'll do here every year. Combining with that is the retention of our current roster.
You said that, right?
So those two things will work together. Obviously, our current roster will help us.
Just explaining the basic duties of a college football coach. We're going to come here. We're going to play football and all three phases of it, offense, defense, and special teams. We're going to get players in and try to keep the players that are on the roster in the building.
Our goal as a football program. Immediately, I'm in the process of organizing to meet with the current players as they come back. That'll be the first thing we do, and I'll do that as a team and do that individually. So that's initially what we'll do.
This man did not know what he did not prepare one bit for this press conference.
The fucking campus, the college campus.
It looks like how a college campus should look like.
When you go to college and you think you're going to be on campus, it looks like the campus should look like a college campus.
College campus
like you think when you go to college.
The him explaining what the three phases of football are killed me. He's just like,
that's offense, defense, and special teams. Oh man, we gave him so much shit for that.
That's funny. But congratulations though to Tyson Veit. Cincinnati seems to be looking up, and we'll see. I'll be curious. I'll be excited to watch him.
We should put it side by side with his Cincinnati interview. Hopefully, it was better. I didn't watch it.
Hopefully it's better than that. Fortunately, he's just the DC though, so I don't know if he had to give a very like elaborate interview. I guess for press conference,
something, right?
I had something, I would imagine. But yeah. So, anyways, we'll see. We'll be seeing him in about a month here too. So that'd be good. But yeah. So you got anything else you want to say about this weekend at all? Before we wrap her up?
I mean, I don't have a whole Houston's just, it's weird, man. Like,
yeah,
I'm not sure. Like, I hope our staff is more sure what Houston team we're going to see, because I'm not really sure.
Right.
To me, it looks like we could be in a somewhat close game, just because they kind of give me that Campbell's first year vibe. Like,
yeah.
Like,
where they're kind of like weirdly dangerous. They're not like a great team, but they're
like pretty bad, but they're gonna play close with quite a few people that they probably shouldn't. And we did that a lot that year. So I don't know. You guys are like doing dirty things to me as an Iowa State fan. Like,
like what?
Like every week I used to just be like, fuck it, Texas, we're gonna win by 60. now we're playing fucking Houston, who got blown out by Cincinnati,
and we're like, I don't know, man, we might lose.
I don't know. No, these fucking Matthias and Levi, like these guys, like they don't have a lot of faith in us.
We have to make sure to erase your blind confidence going in. You just haven't seen it. You didn't spend the first all of your life before a Camel got shut up just getting your ass beat over and over and over and over.
I get that, but at the same time, like, at least every single week we know there's a possibility that we can win the football game.
And honestly, that is the single greatest gift that Matt Campbell has given to Iowa State fans, is that every single game you're like, we can win this game.
Yeah. Like,
that's great.
If we were playing fucking, I don't even know.
I mean, it used to be if we were playing Oklahoma, we're like, okay, we're gonna lose this game let's try to lose by less than 40.
Yeah, like if we were playing Texas A&M this week, I would be like, we can win.
We're gonna beat Texas A&M.
It's possible.
Yeah. Oh, speaking, former ISU coach is Alex Golish, doing a very nice job at South Florida.
He is. They were 2-10. Oh, he's gonna get a huge job.
Oh yeah.
They were 2-10. He got there. They made a bowl game. They won their bowl game by like 60. Last year, not this season, but last season, they also were within 7 points of Alabama in the fourth quarter. And then they did it again this season. It was close in the fourth quarter. Alabama, I think, got away both times at the end.
I don't know if they would do it or not, but well, there's going to be some jobs that are going to open up this year that are
Notre Dame jobs opening. Campbell's going to Notre Dame. Golish is the head coach at Iowa State.
Yeah. I would be okay with that. Wouldn't love it. But
I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen either. But like
if
Florida
won the Notre Dame job, he would have got it already.
Right. Like the Florida job's probably going to open. Baylor is going to open.
Florida could be right down the street.
Honestly, Florida would be a good one. I would bet they at least talk to Alex Golish about that.
Oh yeah. Because I'm trying to think of other coaches like.
Yeah, like kind of up and comer ones. Where like, oh man, he'd be a fun name to get right away. I mean, it's Golish, and then Florida's a big enough program where they can go after a lot of guys.
Unless you're just going to take a guy that you like that failed somewhere else that you have faith in, like Aranda or something like that.
Yeah, I don't, man. I think Aranda's
FSU. See, the FSU is interesting.
FSU's going to need another coach.
Well, that's interesting because like you go undefeated and then you're dog shit the next year. Like how short is the leash? I don't really know.
I have no idea. I would assume Norvell is going to lose his job though. So I mean, either Florida or Florida State could reasonably go after Alex Golish. Yeah, Baylor could go after him. I would guess if West Virginia opens up, West Virginia could go after him.
He wouldn't go there.
I don't think he would either.
He fucking hates West Virginia.
I respect that. I lived in Morgantown, and it's a fine town.
I don't think it has anything to do with football or the team. I think
it's an enough town, but getting in and out, like everything outside of Morgantown, just it's not great. So that would be one. If God forbid TCU opened up, I could see them going after Alex Golish.
Yeah.
I think he would probably shoot higher than Colorado.
What I think's awesome is like Haycock could be a head coach at a lot of these places, and he's not.
No, he's not. And I from everything I can surmise is he's probably just like, I'm just going to retire here, and then as soon as
we've had a top 3 probably defense in the league since he's been here.
Oh, easy. Yeah. I mean, I would say it's consistently a top 15 to 20 or better defense in the country every year. And that's even that was even early in the tenure where they didn't have as much talent as a lot of other places did, but now they got defensive talent and they're just really good. So it'll be interesting to see. I think Golish is going to get a big job sooner than later. If Campbell were to leave for a job, he would be very high on my list to go to he probably, honestly would probably be my preference as the first call I would go to. I would hope he would do that and then make some attempt to keep Taylor Mauser. I don't think he'd be able to, but but it would be nice.
Man, that guy, I don't know. He's a young dude.
It's funny because like
offense keeps clicking. You might only get a year or two.
My wonder is if but
he's loyal. He's very loyal.
He is. Well, I'm looking at a guy like Nate Scheelhaas was a guy that like they brought him in to get like he was like people in the coaching profession knew about Nate Scheelhaas before he was an offensive coordinator. Like, okay, this guy's gonna be a stud someday, and he's gonna be a head coach sooner rather than later. Like even while he was just coaching like a position coach, people knew about him. I don't like Taylor Mauser. I don't think had the same name recognition nationally that Scheelhaas did. So I don't think he would be like necessarily a candidate to get poached, right away or something like that.
Yeah, but, like a smaller school, but I don't think he would do that.
I don't think he would leave. I don't think he would leave Iowa State to go be a head coach at an FCS program. I don't
like a Memphis or something.
I don't think he would. And I think he's young enough still that I don't know that an FBS program would take a flyer on him just yet because he is really young.
This Matt Campbell guy was 34.
He was already a head coach though.
At Toledo.
But a head coach. And of a program that beat Iowa State in names.
They beat Arkansas in Arkansas.
Yeah. Yeah. And they beat Arkansas in Arkansas, and then the next year they went to Ames and beat Iowa State, and then the rest is history from there. But I'll be interested. I mean, I don't think oh God, we got to hang on for dear life every offseason for Nate Scheelhaas thing. I don't think we'll have to do that with Taylor Mauser this offseason because, like you said, I think seems like he likes coaching for Matt Campbell. It seems like he just really likes working for Matt Campbell.
Well, so, do you know his story, right? He was like a GA at Toledo.
He's just been following Campbell everywhere.
He was a GA at Toledo. He came here, was still a fucking GA. Like they wouldn't give him anything. They just like made him develop guys like Allen and Akeem and like me, Chase, Charlie. Like he'd be the guy to have to come in and do extra film work or field work with us.
Right.
Like he did a lot of behind the scenes shit. Like
he's climbed the ladder. Yeah.
And like for years and years. And it got towards the end, like me and Chase and Charlie were getting older. And he was like, because we were pretty close with him. And he was like, man, like, I'm gonna have to get something, or I gotta, I'm getting old. Like I have to go make money somewhere. Right. And I was like, oh, we get it, dude. We get it. And then they made him tight end coach, offense coordinator, back to back.
Hell yeah, dude. So and everybody like you and March and everybody, every other former player I talked to was like, hell yeah, Mouse.
yeah. So I mean, he definitely deserved it. He put in the work for it, and I think because of that, like he had that kind of loyalty when he had no title with Matt Campbell's staff.
Yeah,
that it's like I don't know if he'd ever leave him.
We're getting some good chat comments here. Thoughts on Stoops' brother being fair and successor all through went to Iowa. Mark Stoops has about the best job you can possibly have in college football at Kentucky, where he's making a bunch of money at a program that can be good here and there, and has no expectations from the fans. Best job ever.
No, they're gonna get Bielema.
But Bob Stoops, hell, he's done. He's not coaching college football again. He's not. Couldn't tell you even who the third Stoops brother is. Don't think it matters. They're not going to do that. They're not going to get a Stoops brother. I don't know who they're going to get. I just hope it's not Chris Kleiman.
Bielema's going to have a good season at Illinois.
If Bielema puts it together and has an 8 or 9 win season at Illinois, and Kirk Ferentz leaves, I would not be shocked to see Iowa go after Bielema.
I would love for them to hire Bielema because we'd beat him every year.
That motherfucker's got a tiger hawk on his left calf. If Iowa offers him the job, he's coming to Iowa.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It depends on when Kirk decides to hang it up. I think I wouldn't be shocked if after taking a couple trips out to the West Coast this year, he's like, fuck this, and keeps moving along.
After he paid a quarterback $600,000, that
$600,000 to be absolute dog shit for 2 years.
Yeah.
But who knows? Any chance? Okay. Any chance the hype videos make a return for Big 12 play? Well,
what are people going to watch while they're taking their Friday morning shit, Levi?
I know.
About other people.
I know. It's very unempathetic. So here's the deal. Hype tapes are something like we used to do them every week, and it seems like everyone really liked them. Apparently Matthew did. What the hype tapes rely on though is us getting footage from the university. They have to put out their own videos so that way we can use those and make and retool them into our own thing. They did do one for Iowa, so that's promising. However, one game of footage in the last 3 seasons is not good. Is not going to make for a very good hype tape. So if for more of this season, like in Big 12 play, if they start putting out those like after game recap videos like they did for Iowa, then the answer is yes, hype tapes can and probably will return. However, until we get a larger bank of footage to pull from, all I'm going to end up doing is remixing a bunch of really old clips featuring a bunch of guys that do not play here anymore. Dylan would probably end up in one of those because that's like the last time I would say it's consistently put out footage, So, I mean, that is truly the only thing right now that is holding it back is just not having a lot of footage to go through and to retool. And I don't really want to just put like broadcast highlights over music. That's just boring. So I'm not willing to put out a mediocre hype tape.
So I'm not a video guy. Like I can't make a video. I mean, I could try, probably figure it out, but like I might be able to get footage somehow.
I mean, if you did, we could do that.
I mean, I do have a guy though. I could pay a guy, be like, hey man, I'll give you like $50 a week.
Well, and it's like I want the because they have all the cameras on the sidelines where they take all the nice action shots.
Yeah,
that's the stuff I want. I want those shots. I don't need all 22. I don't need the broadcast angle. I want the action shots from the field. And I know I've sent an email before to the department. Now this would have been, gosh, I don't know, 4 years ago that I sent an email and said, hey, is there any way we could get some of this or everything? Said, well, we can't send it to you. Can't send this to you because if we send it to you, then everybody's going to be asking for it. And I didn't reply, but I was like, no, they're not. Nobody else is going to ask for this.
Yeah.
And also we won't tell if you send us unique stuff, but
we had a guy, we took the video ourselves.
Yeah. I've been asking for that for years. If they would let us plunk somebody on the sideline with a video camera, I would be more than happy to take our own.
Fuck, dude. That'd be a great job for me. I'm retired and I have shit to do.
I said, well, we'll get you a camera and just plunk you on the sidelines. You can get us really good at shooting video.
Yeah. I mean, Randy Johnson did that, right?
He still does that. That's
what I'm saying. That's got to be my retired gig.
He's like a legitimately great sports photographer now. He just does that just because that's what he wants to do. Maybe that'd be your thing. Maybe you can pull a string that I can't, get you on the sideline for a video pass.
Yeah. Well, but I'll just go on the sideline and then just videotape without asking.
Fuck yeah. So that's the long answer to that is they can if I can get more footage.
You missed the yellow jerseys. They
Oh yeah. Oh wait.
So
oh yeah. Okay, yeah. So Fancy Rex comment. Yeah, how about the yellow jerseys? Did you ever play in the full yellows?
No.
Good.
But I owned one with my name on it. And 2 weeks ago, some random people that I met at a bar where Iowa State fans came to my house to party. And I gave them that yellow jersey and they were ecstatic. And I was like, and I get to get rid of it.
And I get to get rid of the fucking gold jersey.
It's a win-win.
Those jerseys are horrendous. If Iowa State's going to incorporate a primary gold piece in the uniform, it needs to be a gold helmet with here, I'll show you exactly what fucking helmet it needs to be. Because I'd put this in college football 25.
You're talking about a yellow helmet or a gold helmet?
Well, gold. Yeah, it'd be gold. Here, I will put it. I'll pull it up because I made these uniforms for college football 25.
Gold is gold.
Well, it's not gold, not Notre Dame gold, like maize yellow. Like so, it's like a deeper yellow.
Yeah. So
this is what I'm talking about. So I custom made these uniforms, and like if you play college football 25, you can download these uniforms because I made them by hand. But like this gold helmet right here with the white stripe.
That's fun.
Yeah.
You can't do the jersey. You just can't.
I would never want to do a gold jersey, but something like that with the nice script, the nice 80s script on there. That's hot. Same way with the white one there. Like,
yeah,
that's the kind of gold I would want to do. That is that gold helmet. But I don't want a gold jersey.
The red chrome helmets were sweet. We don't ever wear those, but those were sweet.
I'll be honest with you. I kind of didn't like them that much.
I just thought they were badass because like at the time only like Oregon did shit like that, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Let's bring back the tertiary blue.
Todd wants it for NCAA. It's on there, right? You can get it.
Yeah. So Todd, you can download those uniforms for NCAA. You just have to search under my gamer tag. Well, it's not it's my EA name, which is Levi. So LEVI 4161. If you want to, there is an article on the website that shows all of that. I'm going to see if I can find it. Oh, it's probably a ways back now, but let's see if I can find this. I might be able to find it. If you search CFB 25 on the website, there you did. So I will show you this. So on the website, if you go to the search bar and search CFB 25, it's one of the options there. I've got a whole article that's got concept shots of what the field looks like and all the uniforms and all that. And I've got instructions on how to download it right here. So then all you need to do is search my EA tag name or whatever, and then you can download them in. So that's how you do that.
This resourceful ass dude.
I will put it in the comments right now. So there you go. There's your link to the article that will tell you all about how to download those uniforms.
I know Cyclone Games didn't say bring back the Bugle Tornado.
The Bugle. You know what's funny about that logo is like
that it's fucking horrendous, and we wore them prime time Thursday night while Jacob Park coked out of his mind, cussed out our head coach.
Was he coked out of his mind? I knew he looked like he was something out of his mind.
I think he was. It
was a bad day for Jacob Park.
Yeah, I think I don't know what he was actually on, but the whole thing that started the whole downfall was he was like getting into drugs that weren't weed. That's all I know.
The bad shit. Yeah. That doesn't. I don't think that would shock anybody listening to this show.
Yeah.
A weird deal.
Yeah.
God, I remember going to that Oklahoma game. We were like
Campbell out, and they like were just filming it like this. I was like, oh God.
Yeah, it's not great.
But that, regardless of how the game went, which once again I have CTE, so
that's my Doge. She's probably back there. Dog.
I have I have CTE, but without the Jaquan Bailey,
very casual about that.
Without the Jaquan Bailey, you remember this?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yep. You got a penalty.
We win the game, right?
The Texas game.
Yeah. Without this here, we win the game, I believe.
I think you got a pretty reasonable argument to be had there for sure.
Yeah.
So the offense roles struggled pretty mightily that day. However, that was the birth of the now famous 3-3 stack, but defense. But the offense was struggling that day.
Yeah. For obvious reasons.
It was bad. I remember going into that Oklahoma game. We're like, we're gonna lose this fucker by 50, and it's gonna suck. No dig on Kyle Kemp. We were like, this dude hasn't taken a snap since fucking high school, so I don't know what the hell to do.
I knew some people that won a lot of money that day.
Yeah?
Yeah, there was a guy that put $1,000 on Iowa State money line.
To beat Oklahoma? Jesus.
And he was related to Trevor Downing. Trevor didn't look. I know it's surrounding the football team. Trevor didn't do this. A distant relative.
just want to make it clear.
He was of age. He was well over the minimum gambling age. He was not affiliated with the football team whatsoever. It was a completely legal bet.
Yeah.
That's never gonna die, by the way.
No, it's so speaking of gambling, and I would say, do you know if there's an update on the lawsuit? I have not heard anything in any time recently. I know that there is basically every Iowa and Iowa State player has joined in on Eni Wazirike's case against the state of Iowa agency. But I have not heard. I don't think there's been like a lot of movement necessarily on that. I don't think hearings for it start to like next May or something like that. So we won't hear anything about that till next off season, but it'd be interesting to watch because there's a dramatic amount of evidence that is not kind to the Iowa investigative agency, whose name I'm completely forgetting at this point in time.
Yeah, I didn't read a whole lot into it, but it seemed like from the small bits I read that it was kind of fucked up.
Oh, it's extremely fucked up. Last question from Ben. Injury report for Saturday. I mean, as far as I know, Will McLaughlin and Caleb Bacon are the only like for sure outs, but I think pretty much everybody else is healthy. I mean, Jalen Travis will play. I think Dalen. I guess I didn't check. I think Dalen Hazard played some last Saturday.
Yeah,
I think pretty much everybody except for Caleb Bacon and Will McLaughlin are pretty much healthy. I think,
and they might be dead.
They might be dead. Honestly, they could be dead.
Lower leg
injury.
That's I had one of those, man. It wasn't good.
Cytown will finish in 21-35. So I don't know if there's anything official coming out, but I from what I understand is we are going to be getting some Cytown info pretty quick here.
2 years? No.
Was that public? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. I thought it was going to take 2 years. I don't know. I heard it from somebody.
It was in our chat.
Oh, fuck. I just hear
he's been in the chat for 2 weeks. He's already got a fucking security breach. No, no. I don't know if this is like how public this is or not, but from what I understand is that we should be getting some Cytown news.
I thought I saw it on Twitter, and I was going to say
maybe I don't.
And I was going to say there's no way in hell 2 years, but because it took them like 2 years to rip up the parking lot.
Well, I think that was partially because they had to work around football season. Where I think the way they're going to do it now, I think they would be able to just keep building. Like I don't think you would have to like work around football season at all. I think you could just build it. But either way, I don't know. Anyways,
I got to figure out how to buy one of those condos up at the top.
I think I know there's a hotel coming. I know, but either way, I think it sounds like we're supposed to get some Cytown stuff somewhat soon, but I don't know what that's going to look like. So I'm not sure. I've been a noted skeptic of Sci-Town.
Oh, there is going to be a hospital there, right? Or like a,
well, it's a medical facility. It's an what's the hospital in Ames?
Yeah, I wanted to say Ochsner. That's the one in New Orleans.
No, what the fuck is the name of the one in Ames?
I've been there a million times.
Not Greeley. What the hell is the name of that thing?
It is.
Is it Greeley? Greeley Hospital?
Greeley.
Yes, Mary Greeley Hospital. Yes, it's a Mary Greeley Hospital clinic. So that's what it is. It's like, I don't think I don't know if it's a McFarland.
McFarland.
It's a McFarland clinic. That's what it is.
That's what it is.
It's McFarland clinic.
Probably so they can just like, if there's like something serious,
they could probably just take them to the clinic.
Yeah.
I don't.
But it's not like the actual hospitals that.
No, it's not like the actual. Yeah, it's not like the actual McFarland Hospital, but it is a clinic there. I'm not sure exactly what's all involved with that. Whatever. All I know is that there's a McFarland clinic going between the football and basketball stadium. That's all I really know about that. We just, I don't know. They haven't really said a lot about Sci-Town anytime recently. So
that's just going to be sweet.
I hope so. I mean, I know there'll be bars and stuff like that. And there's going to be an amphitheater and stuff like that. Like even like I've been vocal about my skepticism about Sci-Town and how this whole thing is like kind of come together. I hope it goes good. I really do. I really do hope it works out. And I hope it's as awesome as it kind of seems like it could be.
The bridge turned out.
The bridge did turn out. But the bridge is building a bridge. That's not building an entertainment district.
Yeah.
But like I said, I hope it works out. I really do. But I need to see the final plan. I need to see, like, I want to see what bars are going in here, what, if there's a brewery going in, what all businesses are going to be involved in this. I want to see what that looks like before I get like really excited about it, I guess.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But
I think it'll be.
What I know is we're going to get an entire entertainment district in Iowa State Center before we get beer in the stadium. So,
and I hope I live to see it.
Beer in the stadium, or
I know I won't live to see that.
I don't think anybody here's gonna.
The Sci-Town, I hope I live to see it, because.
I mean, are you planning on dying the next like 3 years? Or?
Hear me out.
Okay.
Well, aside from having colon cancer, but hey. We're past that, kind of. I don't think I ever told you guys about that.
No.
But
have colon cancer?
I had colon cancer. Fucking wild. Like the
Did
crazy.
You really?
Yeah. They cut it out and they like tested my cells and they were like, well, we don't think you still have it. We think we got it. And I have to go like get checked a few more times to make sure.
Are you like officially in remission then, or?
Yeah. No,
I don't know.
Because they have to make sure that it's not still there, because if it is, then I'll have to do like cancer treatment and shit.
Right,
but
yeah,
like,
to do like chemo.
But they don't think that that's the case. They think we got it early enough that it's just not a big deal.
They just cut it out and it was just
That's what they think as of now. But we'll see.
When was that?
Like 2 weeks ago.
What?
Yeah, I think it was the first week I did this. It was like they cut it out like the Monday before the first week I was on this.
Okay.
Yeah, it sucked. I don't recommend.
I wouldn't. I bet it did. I mean,
but
I need to like spill your medical business on here, but like,
no, I don't give a shit. The reasoning behind I hope I live to see Sci-Town wasn't for the cancer. That's
really fucking dark, dude.
That's kind of dark. That wasn't the reasoning. God. The reasoning was if we somehow host a playoff game in Ames, Iowa.
Oh, yeah.
I may not live through that.
Yeah, no, we're going to drink a lot of booze. Oh my gosh, a playoff game in Ames, Iowa. Fucking 6 inches of snow on the ground, do some Abu Sama and Manhattan bullshit.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's going to suck. Like, I'd rather play a playoff game in, like, Texas.
Well, from what I understand is that they've been telling teams that, like, they've been telling schools that, like, if you play in a northern school and there is 6 inches of snow on the ground, they're going to make us, like, play up at, like, US Bank or something like that.
That'd be cool.
Actually, I would almost guarantee that that's like the backup site. Like if there's too much snow on the ground in Ames, they're gonna make us go play up at US Bank or something like that.
Not at UNI, hopefully.
That'd be fucking great. A college football playoff game at UNI.
Yeah, no, fuck that. Let's
Have you ever been to the Unidome?
No.
It is.
I don't really care to go.
It is one of the domes of all time.
But I have been to the US Bank. That one's fucking nice.
It's a nice stadium. It is. It is indeed. I mean, beyond that, I don't even know what your other options would be. I mean, like, I guess Arrowhead maybe, but
if it's 6 inches of snow in Ames, it's probably 6 inches.
Probably 6 inches in Arrowhead. Yeah. So like, if it's, I would assume US Bank would be our backup, but do not know. I hope we find out someday.
Actually, I hope we don't. I'd rather just have the bye week and play a neutral site.
Touche. Fair enough. So, all righty. Let's wrap her up this week. You got anything to say to the folks at home?
Don't do drugs. I don't think I have anything else.